Hey everyone, it's Sarah with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and in this video I'm going to go over some tips on how to study for your nursing school finals. Okay, so first things first, you have to determine how your professor is going to set up the final exam, because this is going to dictate your study strategy. Because every professor is different in how they set up their exam. I've had some professors where they will take test questions that you've already had from the previous exams and will put them on the comprehensive final, so it's like a repeat. I've also had professors where they will just concentrate on the material that you learned at the end of the semester, where 80% of that is going to be on the exam, and then the other 20% will be other test questions that you had in the past, so it's like a combination. And then I've had professors where everything will be covered, but it's just the main concepts of the material instead of the nitty-gritty details. So how do you figure out what's going to be on your professor's final exam? Well, you can ask your professor. A lot of professors are upfront with you about this, and they will tell you, you know, on the final, we're going to cover majority of what we just covered at the end of the semester, and then I'll throw some other stuff in that we covered before. Or some professors will take it a step further and they'll actually have a final review that you'll come in like a different day and they'll go over the material that's going to be on the exam. And if your professor does this, go to these reviews. I've went to these reviews and they are so helpful. Not only students asking great questions that you never thought of to ask, but professors just giving you good information that you maybe didn't consider studying for the exam. Now, some professors may even be even more gracious and give you a like little study guide with topics of what's going to be on the exam, and of course that's always helpful. But let's say your professor really doesn't give you any details about it, you don't know. Another good thing to do is to ask students who've had that professor before how the final is set up, and just to give you some tips on how you should study for it. So after you have determined how your professor is going to set up the test, it's time to start studying. And a lot of my tests were set up where it's going to cover all the main concepts together. So what I would do is I'd get all my notes out, which, you know, it's probably going to be a huge stack of PowerPoint notes. And I had already, after every test, I would be going through the PowerPoints and try to highlight and just remember what was on that exam I just took, because I knew when that final came up that I was going to have to go back and reflect on that and look at that. So I'll just go through the notes and I'll highlight with a different color highlighter those main topics, main things that were on the exam. And that would help me determine how I was going to do my study strategy. Now let's say you really didn't keep up with your notes after each test. You would go back and highlight what was on the exam. What you can do is you can form a small study group for that final. And before everyone meets, tell everyone, you know, go and write down the topics that you remember that's on the exam. So when we get together, we can collaborate and go over that and brainstorm together. And these sessions are really helpful sometimes, because I know, like, say you're studying neuro. Sometimes people can remember things you don't remember, like say myasthenia gravis was on one of the other tests, and they recall something being about the edrophonium test, which that right there will help you with developing your study guide, because you can go home, you can research what was about edrophonium that I needed to know, what does that test do, what's the nursing interventions, what do positive and negative results look like, and that will help you with your studying. Now another thing you can do, which I think is one of the most important things a person can do when they're prepping for their final, is to use an NCLEX review guide. And Kaplan makes them, Saunders makes them. I use Saunders during nursing school, which really helped me with my finals. And what these review guides do is they take conditions, diseases, medications, and they simplify what you need to know for that NCLEX exam. So you'll look at what the NCLEX review guide is saying, and you'll look at your notes, and you'll go over those, and you'll ask yourself, okay, what main idea is being repeated here? What am I seeing back and forth? Because that is probably going to be something on the final. And you have to keep in mind that the reason that your professor makes your final comprehensive is because they are preparing you for NCLEX, and they want you to pass NCLEX when you take it. So using that NCLEX Review Study Guide, which is made to help you pass NCLEX, your test questions that you're receiving from your professor are going to hit on those same ideas that you're going to be finding in that NCLEX Review Guide, because you're going to see them again on NCLEX and it can help you pass. And finally, I want to share some things that I've learned from you all. I've had a lot of viewers send me messages saying that they've improved their test scores, that they're doing a lot better on their exams because they're taking my review lectures and they're listening to them while they're doing random things like cooking, cleaning, driving, and they're watching topics that maybe they're not strong on, and as they listen to me lecture the material, it helps reiterate those concepts and makes that material stick in their head and they're ready for the exam. So if you are studying for your finals and you need some review lectures, you can access those. I have them in a playlist and all my topics are in there so you can browse and look through what you would like to watch. And I know many of you who are watching this right now, you're prepping for your final, you are literally burnt. I mean, you are burnt to a crisp and you don't want to study any of this material anymore. You don't want to shove any more concepts in your mind because you feel like there's no room left in there. I know what you're feeling. I have been through it. But the key is that you just need to buckle down. You need to keep giving it all you got, keep studying, keep trying to remember, keep trying to memorize, because it's worth it in the end. You got this, you can do it, you've got this far. Don't give up now because graduation is going to be here before you know it. Okay, so I wish you all the best on your finals and thank you so much for watching.